That'll be right now. How's everyone doing? How's everybody this fine Saturday evening, afternoon? Could even be Sunday, I guess, where some people are by now.
Could also move the Discord off of the screen that you're broadcasting.
Oh, is that freaking you out?
There's too many of me.
There's just too many me's, and I don't know what to do about it. Some free 720p advertising there. All right.
You ate a whole
user export
pizza?
file.
I'm impressed.
I'm not. Doesn't surprise me in the least. But I know him. Was it a delicious pizza, Lo? What kind of pizza was it? Rage's background looks blacker. Yes.
The blackest of black.
And welcome back, Pseudo. Hope you had a great vacation.
It was fantastic. I am now relaxed for the first time in a long time, so
Yeah,
I'm glad to be back.
That's the longest I can remember you not working, and as long as I can remember. So that says something.
Yeah, but hopefully I can get a longer vacation again soon sometime.
Pseudo sounds
I like what I always sound hungover. I'm always just kind of perpetually tired.
Yeah.
Always like not enough caffeine and too much caffeine at the same time. Kind of.
We understand. We understand. Anyway, today a little bit lighter one. We're not even going to be doing a real deep technical review of anything. We are going to be talking about our favorite indie games and why. Because we're always bashing these AAA studios and telling you to avoid them and telling you they're evil and then telling you to play games. Here's some games you should play. These guys deserve the money. They're fantastically creative. And since Pseudo has been gone so long, would you like to start with yours? Because I know you're so in love with this game.
Which game exactly are we talking about? Are we doing Kenshi or what indie game?
Oh, yeah, well, you wanted to do Lakeview Cabin, I thought. But yeah, you can do Kenshi if you want.
I'll do Lakeview Cabin, because I feel like not enough people know about that game, and it's fantastic.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. So if people don't, for all you who don't know what Lakeview Cabin is, which is probably a lot of you, it was originally a Flash game back in the day, and then eventually the developer made a full-on game version of it. I wouldn't say it's a Windows game, but it's on multiple platforms. Basically, what the game is it's a horror movie / puzzle game. So it takes scenes from horror movies and turns them into like a platform puzzle. So the first level in Lakeview Cabin is the Lakeview Cabin from Cabin in the Woods, or it might also be from the Friday the 13th movie. I do exactly remember which monster it is. But basically, each one of the levels is from a different horror movie, and you're basically recreating what's happening, but you have to solve it with a series of puzzles. You get to control multiple characters, and you can swap between them whenever. So what you'll have to do is use these multiple characters and set them up in certain situations that'll help you kind of solve the level. So like the first level, this kind of weird monster thing comes out of the water. I think it's like a pre-adult Jason Voorhees. And he just starts running at you with a knife, and he'll just kill you. So you have to set people up in a way so that you can deal with him. There's a few ways you can do that. The easiest one is there's like a box that you can use to pull up with like a winch. So you get one of the characters to pull that up and then leave them there with it. So you can switch to them to drop it on his head and like knock him down and hopefully grab his weapon from him. A bunch of stuff like that. But it's a really, really unique concept, a really, really cool game. The art style is really cool. It's very basic. Very pixelated, but there's really good lighting. It's got kind of like true lighting to the touch. So like darks are dark, flashlights feel authentic. It gets very creepy at times, but I was very impressed with this game. I can't remember how or why I picked it up. It was very cheap, and I started playing it with my friend, and next thing you know, it's like 6 o'clock in the morning, and him and I are trying to sort out Morse code because one of the levels just has Morse code beeping in the background, and after tearing our hair out for like an hour, we realized that there's beeping. We're like, that beeping is Morse code. Like, what's this Morse code saying? But it gets pretty dark. It gets pretty scary, but it's a fantastic time. And I really like the puzzle element. It really is satisfying to solve it, and it's very difficult. It is surprisingly difficult. Not just like the puzzles. Sometimes the puzzles are kind of cryptic and it can be frustrating, but just like the actual execution of your plans. The last level is Alien, the Alien movie, and you have to do it in a certain time limit that's not really told to you, because the longer you take, the more aliens and the more like kind of face huggers get around, and it just becomes like a nightmare. And it was a fantastic time. I don't know enough people who've played it beside myself, but I highly recommend it. It's on sale right now for like $6 or $7 on Steam. Definitely pick it up and give it a go, especially if you like horror, any kind of horror movies or just puzzle games in general.
How about the team? Do you know who made it?
The developer's name is Tamanin. I can't really pronounce his name too well, but it's
a one-person team.
Yeah, it's just a single. His Twitter, I believe, is Hypno Hustler.
That is quite the name.
But yeah, it's an absolutely fantastic game. He also just released a sequel called Lakeview Valley, which is an RPG game, which I'm going to be picking up and playing probably tonight, now that I have the weekend ahead of me, which I'm also very excited for.
It looks very interesting. We're watching clips of it on the screen while you've been talking about it.
Yeah, the part where it's at right now, that's the level select. It's the actual movies there, which is kind of cool. And that the level select is also its own level, because there's actually a monster in the sewers that comes after you, so you can actually like beat the level select level as well.
I love the idea that level select is a level, and I really dig the whole each level is its own movie. That's very creative.
Yeah, it's also it's pretty funny. A lot of the stuff in there is really cool. I think this one, kind of this level, there's the way they solve some of the puzzles are just kind of like silly. I think it might be what's being shown in the stream right now, but I think he has to take like a massive dump and it shakes the room so something drops from the ceiling or something, or he breaks something so like a toolman shows up. There's like a lot of like not really intuitive things, but they're kind of funny once you get to discover them by just trying to interact with the environment.
So yeah, basically just don't assume anything and play with everything and do everything and see what happens.
Sounds like there's a certain degree of adventure game logic rolled into it as well.
Yeah, and then it's also fairly fun to try to beat the level with keeping everyone alive, because most of the game is pretty easy. Not easy, but the easiest way to do a lot of levels is to kind of use someone as a scapegoat or a sacrifice. Be like, you know what, this guy is going to be the one who distracts the bad guy while everyone kind of gets away or does something else. And a few times you're like, all right, you're the lamb of the slaughter for this run.
What do you...
The guy just stripped naked, grabbed a girl, threw her in the water, jumped in after her, and now he's riding around on her shoulders.
Oh my. This is quite the scene here.
Wow. This game is pretty amazing, I gotta say. There is some depth to it. Very, very nice find. Well,
that's a game that I'm probably going to be picking up after the stream. This looks fantastic.
It's honestly really good. It's one of my favorites. Oh god, yeah, they're getting attacked now in the video I've pulled up. There's a lot of just random stuff that goes on, and it's hard. The game actually gets really hard. I was surprised at the difficulty sometimes, not just from like the puzzles to solve, but like it takes a lot of like kind of calculation and like pretty good timing, because some of these people are I think there's a Freddy Krueger level, I believe, and you have to like jump between dreams, and like you have to be careful because he just shows up and he'll just mess you up. You just we'll lose people like instantly.
Yeah, that's Freddy Krueger. I'm happy that with that little play video too, because we didn't actually get any real spoilers. We just got to see someone dick around and do some interesting things that I did not expect you to be able to do.
That's definitely something that I'm going to be picking up later.
Yeah, thank you very much for that, Pseudo. He already gave it to me in a gift, sent it to me.
No problem at all. More people that play it, more people have to talk about it, so I'm stoked for it.
Indeed, indeed. We can also do one, we can both do this one since we've now both played it, and I don't think Rage has seen enough on it. If you want to send me a specific video on it, you can, and that is Kenshi. Has anybody in the chat actually heard of Kenshi? Seen Kenshi?
The only thing in Kenshi I have seen is the trailers. It seems like it's very much not my style of game.
Me, but I don't count. What do you mean you don't count, Pookie? You always count. How could you not count? Very easy. You go 1, 2, 3, 4. You can go from there. All right, this is kind of fast forward here, but I will pause it a little bit. Oh wow, they're rather advanced on this spot here. So they've already got a large base built. This is all theirs. They own all these buildings, walls, defenses. You can see the RTS style control interface here. You've got multiple groups. This is just one group. You can see the top. We've got the Swarm, the Keepers, the Hands, Caravan, the Sword. That's all different groups you can swap between. And then the units down here is the one group he currently has selected. See, here's Caravan now. He's got crabs in his Caravan. So this game is essentially a sandbox game, but it's a sandbox RPG.
I sent you a video that you can pull up. It's,
sure.
Kind of the average starting experience for Kenshi, at least.
Yeah. It's very interesting to get to see this perspective of it too, and see what kind of depth the game actually has to create this much organization. You can also automate the jobs for all of these people, so you can have supply chains running, people moving stuff back and forth, harvesting raw resources, crafting, guarding areas. All of these can be assigned as jobs and automated for some of them, and that's why he's only looking and controlling some of these things. The rest of them are probably all doing their own thing. So here's the construction, crafting side of the game. This is what the game can be. Yes.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting because I think Days and I have had like two completely different playstyles from it.
Yep.
I only have like I had one person for like a few weeks for the longest time. I basically played this as a single character, leveling them up, trying to do my thing. Where meanwhile, I think you've been already built a base, and I don't think I haven't on my current run. I don't have a base. I've just been living inside of a town and a house that I bought. So there's just like so many different styles of play. You can play like an RTS with a large group of army and a base building, or you can play it as like a single player adventure.
So
just level your stats.
There's a story behind the whole building a base thing. I wanted to build a base. That colony is now dead. Rest in peace. F. There's no saving it. There's no going back. It's dead. It's very, very dead. And the best way I can explain Kenshi to you is to tell you the story of my first colony. I started out as just some person in a little rundown town. Not an outlaw, but I'm no one special. I need to find a way to survive. My character was good at farming. I figured Farming's probably a good way to feed myself. Let's try to set up a little farm somewhere. So I wandered off into the town. Out of the town, went roaming. See this group of people running at me. They ran at me, murdered me, took my meat, and left. That was the first. Okay, let's try this again. I went out, and this time I'm moving my camera around, constantly looking everywhere, looking for anything that might be going wrong. Then I see a movement anywhere in the distance. I run the other way. I did this until my skill for running got high enough that I was actually faster than everything. This was my secret to survival. Now I can run faster than whatever's chasing me. This is the slaver start. He got cooked.
That's the cannibal hunters.
Yeah, that's the cannibals.
Slightly cooked.
Yeah, that was a poor start. Yeah, you can control your stance, like your default stance that you run around as. It's a very strange game. I was rather normal for my playthrough, so I went back and I'm like, okay, now I've been mining and gaining some money and actually buying building supplies, and I've got enough that I can build a little house somewhere now. So I built a little house, saved it and built my little house, and then some bandits came along and murdered me. And then wildlife came along and ate me. So I decided to look for somewhere else because it turns out it was actually pretty arid. So I started looking around for a place to survive. And I found a swamp and got killed by ninjas. And then I went another way and found a coast and got eaten by flesh spiders. That one was fun. And then I found this marshy area that seemed pretty good for growing, and it had these beak things in it. These beak things looked kind of like a brachiosaur. You know, they looked actually kind of cute, kind of friendly. So I looked away, and then I looked at my status, and it said eaten alive. I was like, oh. Yeah, so the beak things, they'll eat you alive too. Oh, he tried to steal something? Or did he try to sell him something illegal?
He stole something before, and then went back in and they saw him, so they just beat him up.
Yeah. Yeah, this is Kenshi. Yep. So, I eventually got my building supplies, and I found a paradise with guards. They weren't attacking me. They were killing everything that attacked me. And it was a lush plain, like a paradise. The only thing wandering around just wanted to eat crops. It didn't want to eat you, and the guards kept them at bay too, as well as the ninjas. It was really, really safe. So I built my house there, I built a farm. The farm started getting attacked more than I liked, so I built walls around it with a gate, running back and forth to the nearby town in order to get supplies. Things were great until the religious folks that guard the area came by and said, whoa, 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 you're a wild woman. You can't live here without a man. I was like, well, come on, guys, it's all good. What are you talking about? And then they stabbed me, so I ran. And they just
seems fair.
And they ransacked my base for a while, and when they left, I came back and closed the gate and locked it again and kept farming until they did it again. So I was like, damn, they're just not going to leave me alone. So I went to the town, took all the money I'd been saving up, and hired a guy to help me on the farm. And then the next time the religious guys came by, I sent the farmhand out to talk to them, and they were all like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, there's the beak thing eating them. See, they look cute and friendly.
Turns out, not so cute.
Yeah. So I sent him out to talk to them, and they were like, okay, man, we heard there's a wild woman here. What's going on? And he was like, nah, dog, this is my base. There's no women here. And they looked around all suspicious and confused for a while and said, well, okay then. And they walked away. It is a pretty good summary of what's happening. You make your own story as you're going because crazy things are happening. Never go to this region of the map ever again. This is just awfulness.
It's like most of the map. There's like 2 provinces that are actually like okay, and that depending on your running speed, you can kind of hang out there. But most of the time, it's like you leave the safety of a town, and you're just gonna get like beat up and like eaten. By
Hey, Overlord, welcome. We are talking. Sorry.
No worries. Well, this game has like a very, very steep initial difficulty curve. It is, even with your experience with the game, it's still hard to like initially train your guy up, because like if you don't have a running speed of at least like 19, 20 miles an hour, you can't really do or go anywhere because you're just gonna die.
Yep. Yep, and then it's a totally different story when you get into trying to bring things back to the town, because now you're encumbered and you can't run that fast anymore. So it's pretty hard to make money too. You got to have a little bit of luck, and don't be afraid to drop your backpack and run.
And ideally, be faster than anybody else.
Yep, that's kind of the idea, because you also start out with, 1 attack and 1 defense and 1 strength and 1 dex, and they have 22 attack and 30 defense, and they've been doing this a while. They're experienced guards, either that or they're wild animals that want to eat you. Yeah, how to get more vitality, melee defense and stuff like that, is to get hit in melee combat.
But not die.
Yeah, so you have to get beat up without getting killed is how you get tougher. That's not easy.
Yeah, and then this game also has dismemberment.
Yep.
So if you're unlucky, something can like rip your arm off or rip your leg off, and if you don't have money to get a prosthetic or anything, you're kind of just screwed.
Hobbling around.
Yeah, they'll just kind of be crawling, or you'll be, limbless for a while until you can. If you're lucky, you lose an arm, because then you can at least sneak somewhere and steal an arm from someone. I have definitely done that in a run where my arm got ripped off very early in the game, and I'm like, well, okay, I kind of need this. So,
you asshole! I needed that.
Broke into it. Luckily, you can still unlock doors with a single hand. Picked a lock, broke into a store, stole an arm, and was on my merry way. And same thing with like just trying to level up skills. You have to get hit to level up, and depending on who's hitting you, there's a chance they're going to cut your limb off, or they're going to really cause some serious damage. But the game is very satisfying when you train up a character up to like fairly high level, or multiple characters. Once you have like high martial arts or high weapons and stuff like that, the game is very, very rewarding in that sense, because it is such a long grind. It is so very hard. But when you actually have a strong guy, you feel like
you've accomplished something.
Yeah.
You feel like you're a strong guy.
Yeah, because you now are, and you had to put some serious effort into getting there. It is not an easy game. It will wreck you, but I strongly recommend checking it out. To tell you what happened to that poor colony that actually ended up making a second house and 2 large farms with the medium one, and a water tank and a whole metal processing plant, another guy to go up and mine metal and bring it back. And well, the religious guys force you to do prayer day once a week, and you have to have a Bible with you to do it. And the first time you say, I don't have one, they're like, oh, the first time, we'll forgive you. Here's your copy. And then I do the prayer day with them. And you actually have to pay attention to what options you're doing when you do it, because if you say the wrong thing, they will kill you. So I went through it all properly with them. And then I don't want to carry this book around all the time, so I just kind of threw it on the ground. And every time they'd come for prayer day, I'd just pick the book back up off the ground and do the prayer with them and throw it down on the ground and go pray. But I guess somebody walking by needed a book one time, so I didn't have a book anymore. And then I missed that prayer day, and now they're all aggressive. And every time a patrol comes by, they murder everyone in my base.
Huh.
So while that may be a paradise, don't piss them off. And they're pretty anal about their religion. You gotta be pretty careful with them.
Make sure you do prayer day.
Yeah, don't miss your prayer days.
Always have a book.
Always have a book.
Don't have drugs on you. One really cool thing about this game, is there's a whole smuggling job thing you can do where you can go to the swamp and buy all the stuff that's illegal in the main towns, and then try to smuggle them in and sell them for like massive profit.
However, if you ever try to sell it to anyone in the town, they'll just report you for selling illegal goods, and the guards will kill you.
Certain people, there's still some contacts you can find that you can sell to.
Yeah, just don't try to do it to a random person.
It's
Don't
very
just
hard.
walk up to a random shop and be
lot-
like, "Hey man,
It's
you
a
want
lot
some
easier to
hash?"
like have a party of people pick up someone and be like, "Hey man, want to try to sell this stuff for me?" And then if he gets like arrested, you're like, "Okay, might break you out sometime. Probably not anytime soon. Have a good life." But it's an interesting thing because like the swamps are far, and there's just so much stuff that wants to kill you. But if you can run fast enough with a bunch of gear, it's kind of interesting just to run down there, grab as much as you can, and start hauling it back up. And then it's just like the interesting experiences you run into that are just completely kind of natural. Like you run into like a group of bandits that are like, "Hey, you know what? We want your stuff," and then like, they're going to chase you for quite a while, and you're going to hope that there's some sort of town nearby that you can seek refuge in, or you know it's going to get dark or acid rain, and you got to kind of like find cover. And it's a long. It's almost a running simulator, but there's enough crazy antics that are going on everywhere, and the landscapes are so wild that like I found myself that I couldn't just right click anywhere and then alt tab, because the moment you alt tab, it's like, oh look, I'm being eaten.
Yep. There's no such thing as giving a movement command and not paying attention the entire way. It is space pause with RTS control, similar to Baldur's Gate and stuff like that, for a reason. It's not a mindless game. There's no such thing as downtime or not paying attention time. That's the, oh, I've been eaten time. I stopped paying attention for a second. I looked back. Every person in my base was dead, and the whole place was ransacked. I was like, oh.
You can get multiple like people in your party as well, and there's no like restriction to have them close by, so you can have them completely across the map at any point.
Yep.
So what I was doing for a while is I had two people that I rescued from a person called the Slave King, who was very scary. And luckily, I had a bunch of people chasing me, and then I ran into the Slave King, and I was like, oh shit. And I managed to sneak as soon as I got there. And then the Slave King basically is like, who the hell are these guys? What are you doing here? So they just started fighting each other. And while they were fighting, I freed some of his slaves and picked one up and ran away with them. Because I'm like, I want one. Like, I want this person to join. I freed them.
You're
first.
mine now.
I freed them. But then they joined my party, so I'm like, okay, cool. You know, it's just the same thing with extra steps. But I'm like, all right, well, this person's kind of useless because they don't have any stats, so I'm just gonna stick you here mining by this town while I use my main character to run around. And like every time I'd go back over, it's like, oh look, they got beat up and they're now being enslaved. God damn it, I'm gonna have to rescue this person. Rescue them. I do the same thing again. I'm like, I'll have you mind. I tab over for just a little bit, and I come back and I'm like, oh my god, you're getting like beat up real bad. It's like a stone's throw from a town, and I'm like, please crawl to this town and get help, but you're probably just gonna die right now. And I was like, oh no, you can't. It gets really hard to manage, but it's still a very satisfying game if you can do it.
We could almost do a whole series on Tales from the Kenshi.
Yeah, you get like endless stories to talk about. There's always just great, interesting things going on. There's a few YouTubers that actually have fantastic series to watch if people are interested. There's one guy named Simo, Simo, has a Kenshi Bandits series. I think he's put like 10 episodes where he does like a group playthrough of like 6 people and trains them from nothing to like a whole army of bandits, and it's a really cool thing to watch.
That would be very interesting, yeah. I may check that out myself. Okay, now that Pseudo and I have taken up all the time, and hopefully your hangover is good and pounding from those bright lights on your rage, you want to talk about your indie baby there?
Sure. It's a game that I've spent quite a lot of time playing, and it's something that I broke my usual rule of never buy an early access game, but seeing the way that it's been developed, I really did feel like it was going to be something that would actually be finished. It was a game that I was actually confident it would release, and lo and behold, it did, and that game is Slay the Spire. It's a card-based game that is mostly around the concept of deck building. So, you know, as you get this, you start your run, your roguelike run, or roguelite, I should say. and you get card unlocks as you're working your way through this individual run of the game. And your character has certain card sets available to it. As you're unlocking cards, you're building your deck, you're making your deck stronger. Based on where you are on the map, you can remove cards from your deck to make it more consistent, and you can just slowly slay your way up all of the floors of the spire. And once you reach the end, there's of course even harder things, because why wouldn't it get even harder? But the gameplay here is very, very well done. It's very, your decks feel good. They feel powerful. You feel like you really are gaining strength as you're going up levels of the tower, and it's incredibly rewarding. Like I've put, well, let me check. I want to say several hundred hours into Slay the Spire, but let me check what my actual playtime is.
I can confirm that a good majority of the time, for quite a long time, every time I saw Rage on Discord, it said, Slay the Spire.
193 hours. So almost several hundred hours. But it's very fun. It's very rewarding. There's multiple characters to play as. There's multiple paths to take in the level. You get, the little relics that he's pointing at up in the corner there, that give you special abilities. You can basically just build yourself around your relics to make your cards more effective, tailor your deck to work off of your relics. It's a deep enough system that it kept me playing for, like I just said, 193 hours. And the game was like $20. Like, it was cheap. This is one of my favorite games to come out this year. And the fact that I saw it actually nominated for a couple awards at the Game Awards this year was actually very, very, like, it made me feel really good. I want this game to do well. The developer did a fantastic job.
So, from what I'm seeing here, his deck is 10 cards. And when he uses it or discards it, it goes into the right. And then the next 5 cards, and then he gets all 10 of those again. So using it doesn't get rid of the card. It's just you got the option to use it on that draw.
Exactly. The mechanic of discarding is something that can be built upon with other card effects or with relic effects. So say you have a relic that gives you you draw a card when you discard a card, something like that. I don't know if that's actually an effect in the game, but you could say have card options come up that when you use this card, you discard another card. So you can use that to cycle through all of your cards and get to ones that are of higher value in whatever situation you're in faster.
Yeah. Digging and searching. Very, very
Exactly.
classic strategy in MTG. Just keep drawing until you find the card you need.
And depending on what card Northern Lion picks here, he could make a very, very poor decision. For the Ironclad, the character that Northern Lion is currently playing in this video, I've found strength builds to be one of the best.
Yep.
Like they are just the strongest way to play Ironclad. And the card Flex that you saw there is one of my favorite cards for the Ironclad. It gives you a temporary buff of +2 strength.
Saw that.
And when you're given that +2 strength, then everything that you do deals 2 more damage per hit. It's also upgradable. You can upgrade Flex to be +4 strength. And then you start getting cards that hit multiple times. So now you've got, 3, 4, 5 hits that are all +4 coming off this turn, and it's a 0 cost card, so you've saved all your energy to spend on attacks.
Yeah, I saw the 0 cost. That is huge. The cost of a card being ±1 in, say, Magic the Gathering competitive universe is the difference between it being a banned card and an unplayable card.
Yeah, you gotta track your resources.
Yeah.
And you can see here in the bottom left, that's the resource, that's the energy. He's got 2 out of 3 right now. Looks like he's going to be bashing with the other 2 energy. And you have ways that can give you temporary energy to go over your cap.
Okay.
Using cards, using relics, using potions, even, which is another mechanic. And you have ways that can permanently increase that cap. So instead of temporarily having 5 energy, you can, permanently have 4 energy, and having 4 energy every turn rather than 3 is very, very powerful.
Legend seems strong.
Right, but look at the cost.
I saw the cost. It's still over 10 damage per point.
It's a very situational card.
Yeah.
Because Ironclad doesn't get a whole lot of extra mana. It's just very hard for Ironclad to get extra mana, and if you're going to be bludgeoning, that's all you're doing that turn.
Yeah, unless you're flexing. Probably not worth it just for the flat 1 hit, but situationally, you never know.
Yeah,
Could only need
I
an
find
extra
Bludgeon
2 or
to
4.
be very situational. It's,
Yeah.
in my
No,
opinion, one of
definitely.
his weaker legendaries.
Oh, it's a legendary?
Yeah, there are different card rankings. There's common cards, which, as you might think, are common. Rarer cards that will have the blue ribbon up at the top.
See, now's a fine time.
They're slightly rare. So you can see here, Inflame on the left is a rarer card. And Bludgeon, with the yellow ribbon up at the top, is a legendary or rare card.
But Strike is 6 damage.
Yep.
So that's still a considerable damage increase.
Oh, for sure. Definitely. Like, Strike is your basic card. It comes in every character's deck. You want to get rid of them as soon as possible. They're bad.
I get that.
Anger is very strong. I like Anger quite a bit.
Yeah.
You start pumping up your strength, and after you've had a couple of rounds of Anger, suddenly you've got like 5 copies of Anger in your deck, and you pump your strength a couple of times and then throw down a whole bunch of free 4 damage spells.
Yep. Yeah, the 0 cost is huge. I would definitely be going with that one myself. Very interesting. I really like the mechanic of having the really short sized deck and just cycling through it in order to create that consistency that you need to have in order to have a one-on-one combat like that.
Exactly. You are really able to tailor what you're doing, how you're doing it, what the effects are in your deck. And it makes it feel very consistent, very reliable. There is some randomness to it because it is a deck. You are drawing cards, but you're able to keep your experience extremely consistent. And as you can see here at this wing statue, you can pray to remove a card from your deck and lose 7 HP for it. Or you can take some gold, or you can just leave.
When it says lose 7 HP, is that a permanent 7 HP or just take 7 damage?
That takes 7 damage.
Okay.
There are other spells that will remove your other effects in the game that will remove your maximum HP, and it's still generally worth it to do. It's almost always worth it to lose the HP because what you're getting for paying with your HP is generally very, very strong.
Mm-hmm. See, now you can bash Anger Strike. Do it.
Yep.
Do it.
And now you can see he's using his potion.
Yeah.
He's weakening the enemy so they output less damage.
And then blocking.
Like a wuss. Does not seem to appreciate that that health is a resource.
Yeah, trying to maintain all of it. Meanwhile, he's killing the enemy so slowly that he's just going to end up losing more of it.
Yep.
Bash, anger, anger strike.
Oh, you're already getting into this. Maybe you might have to go buy Slay the Spire.
I'm thinking I might be getting a copy of this in the near future, yes.
It's really fun. Really, really fun. And I
Come
don't
on.
know if the video that you've got playing here has the audio in it or not, but
I just have it.
The music is quite good as well. It's one of those games with very repetitive music because it needs to be able to just play all the time, but it's not offensively repetitive and it's very satisfying. Uh, yeah, it's Slay the Spire is tough. It will beat you up a lot. Hey, GlenCon.
Welcome to the stream, GlenCon. Nice to have you with us.
Really, really fun game, though.
Definitely something I'll have to pick up. Have you seen this at all, Pseudo?
I have. I've never played it, but I've seen a lot of gameplay, and it's been on my radar. I've been thinking of picking it up, and I've seen that it was getting a lot of attention, especially in like the award committees and stuff like that. But it looks like a very, very solid game.
And if I remember correctly, there is a new character coming out in a free update fairly soon. There's a fourth character coming out. They're adding more content, adding more cards, adding more relics. Like the developers taking very, very good care of this game.
It's very rare, especially nowadays, for free additional content.
They're not charging anything for it. That's amazing. I've only beaten the original 3 acts twice with Ironclad, and both times were Corruption/Dead Branch. So it sounds like you found the playstyle that agrees with you, at least.
Oh, it's super jank. What Corruption does is when you use a skill, it costs 0, but you then send that card to what is essentially the Nether. Like you get rid of it. It's out of your deck until
you don't get to draw
next
it again.
encounter. You don't get to draw it again. But what Dead Branch does is it replaces any card that you get rid of in that way with another card chosen at random. And if I remember correctly, it isn't necessarily even from your class. Mm-hmm. It can be a different, like from an entirely different class. It's the jankest thing. Sometimes you are incredibly overpowered. Sometimes you just get screwed by Dead Branch, and that's all there is to it.
It is more than half price. Oh, this game is half price on Steam. I see what you're saying. I was thinking just Steam sale in general. I don't know why. There are some great games for sale right now.
And Slay the Spire is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fantastic, fantastic game.
I actually picked up a game myself. I picked up Dishonored.
Yeah, finally gonna play through that one, eh?
Might as well try it. I've heard so much good about it. And it was only $5.
I'd say it's worth $5.
So I was like,
I very much enjoyed the world building in that game. I didn't enjoy the actual gameplay though.
So you liked the cutscenes, but not the stuff between?
More or less.
That sounds like a lot of games nowadays. This does look very interesting.
It's very, very fun.
It is highly intrigued.
200 hours fun.
Yeah,
like
if
you want it, I'll buy it for you.
No, I will invest the money in that one. Another one I have on my list here for us to talk about. Since number 2 is coming out, and number 1 was so goddamn awesome, Axiom Verge.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot that Axiom Verge 2 is coming.
Yes, very soon, and I am stoked for it. Absolutely stoked for it. Has anybody heard of and or played it? Pseudo, do you know Axiom Verge?
Yep, I haven't played it myself yet, but it's on my list. It's definitely on my list. I really like Metroidvania style games.
I wouldn't even call it a Metroidvania though. It's just Metroid.
Yeah, pretty much. It is the most Metroidvania I've ever played. I'm just gonna put a long play on at the beginning here and show you the very beginning of the game. I mean, even the atmosphere, the look, the feel of it, everything is just great. I've played through it a couple times. After my first playthrough, I went back and just like searched high and low and grabbed every weapon I had and shot every spot on every wall with every weapon and jumped into every single little corner. Still didn't find everything. I tried. I tried really, really, really hard. I did not find anything. I love its retro style. Its pixel
quality. Music is also fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, the sound in the game is absolutely phenomenal. There we go.
Get some audio going. Yeah, this game is wonderful, and I do think we should, once we've watched a little bit of gameplay here, play the trailer for Axiom Verge 2 as well.
Yeah, we'll definitely wrap it up with the trailer for the second one. But yeah, it's basically a Metroid clone. Like, it does a lot of things unique and interesting from Metroid, but at the end of the day, it is 100% a Metroid clone, I would call it. And I don't say that in a negative way at all. That is not a bad thing. We could do with a couple more Metroid clones in this day and age.
Big agree on that one.
The Metroidvania has not been done proper justice.
I would say that, what was that new one by the original Castlevania creator? Bloodstained? Bloodstained did a pretty good job at recapturing the Castlevania feel.
Yeah.
But nobody has really done like a real Metroid outside of Axiom Verge.
Yeah, this is the truest feel to it. The thing that always got me, and I've told you this before, and it's not a negative to Castlevania, it's a fantastic game, but it's always failed for me to get into it because I hate level 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3. I lose interest.
Well, fair enough. Although Bloodstained is much more in the vein of Sympathy of the Night? Symphony of the Night.
And I haven't played Symphony of the Night, and I've been told I should.
It is a very, very excellent game. And if you are interested in giving Castlevania-style games another try, I highly recommend it.
I may have to pick up a copy of Symphony of the Night and play it then.
Also, the music in Symphony of the Night is so good.
Oh, the music in all the Castlevanias was great. I can listen to any of them easily. That was never the problem. Well, except for maybe the NES ones. They were still good for the NES era.
But not necessarily what you're gonna go back and listen to on your day off. So
yeah.
Now we've got some actual gameplay going on here in Axiom Verge.
So let's start blasting things and going. The little bits of game design there, they don't tell you anything. You just kind of wake up. You can see 2 doors, but one of them is blocked. So you have to go in the other one. You go a short distance in the other one. And then they give you the gun and explain you can shoot things now. And now you can get through the other door and actually start the game. And that's all you need to know to explore. Castlevania is one of your favorite series? Well, then maybe I should play Symphony of the Night and see what the hubbub's all about. Have you ever played Symphony of the Night, Lo?
I would imagine if he's a Castlevania fan at all, he probably has.
Probably, but I know he stopped gaming for quite a while too. Anyway, this is another indie game.
Oh, not yet. You should definitely check it out.
Yep, I can help you get that sorted out and Hit me up off stream and we'll get you figured out. Yeah, back to Axiom Verge. Let's see if we can find a little boss. More interesting area. Node size. Permanently increases projectile size. I love the little power-ups like that. It made such a big difference in hitbox. That's a cool power-up. There we go. The boss chamber reminded me of Mega Man. The way you have the little lead up to it.
Yeah, very much so. I'm just looking now to see if there's a way to get Symphony of the Night on Steam, but I think as close as you're going to get is Bloodstained, and Bloodstained is not as good as Symphony of the Night.
That's okay. I have my ways. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah,
So,
I just wanted, if there was a way, I was going to pimp it on the stream and be like, hey, go buy it.
Fair enough, fair enough. So Axiom Verge is actually made by a little indie team. You can probably tell. It is a team. It's not a single person. But it's a small team. And they do some awesome work. This game was beautifully designed inside out. I loved playing through it, every playthrough. I loved every secret. I liked most of the weapons. So, buy it. Play it. If you're at all interested in Metroidvanias, it's a fantastic way to spend some time. You have played it. Excellent. And we are talking about this one now, even though it's fairly old, because the Axiom Verge 2 trailer is out. Nintendo Switch one? Sure. And Axiom Verge 2 looks just as good. The story, by the way, in Axiom Verge, fantastic.
Actually, very, very interesting story, and it's fed to you in such a way that you're constantly hungry for more of it.
And this one looks absolutely amazing.
Looks so cool.
I want to play it.
I want to play it now.
Let me play it. Yeah, we're excited for this one, if you can't tell. We are Axiom Verge fans. So good. Also, Cosmic Star Heroine is on here. Another older indie game, but if you are a fan of the classic JRPG at all, most reminded me of playing like a little lost chapter of Chrono Trigger kind of idea. It's sci-fi rather than old school time travel. It's all sci-fi, traveling around in space, different alien worlds and stuff, but so good. Maybe almost a touch of the Mass Effect done in Chrono Trigger style, I would almost say, at times. Did either of you play it? I'm pretty sure you didn't. Not very many people did.
I definitely remember you recommending it to me and then not actually playing it.
I'd love to actually show it to you now then. All right. So you've got your characters in the top left there. So you've got two characters. On the far right, you can see the turn order. Bottom is who's acting. You can see the nice flow of the arrows indicating this as things move down. Now, as it pops up, you can see, here, I'll make sure to pause next time. Here, so now we've got 3 power points, all charged up. So this turn is going to do the most damage, and then the points will go away. Trying to get tokens on Steam for free to buy a coupon for 5,000 tokens. 76 tokens for every $1 card, and I'm not spending that much for a coupon, so I'm trying to get the free ones. Now, what do you mean now we're talking, Raven? This your style?
Looks like Raven is a fan of the JRPG.
This is one that I would recommend then. This was a fantastic little game. Okay, so here's all your skills, and you set up your box of 8 skills, and every time you use one of their skills, it's going to gray out, and you will no longer be able to use it until you've rested, guarded. You spend a turn guarding, and then your skills come back. So you want to stagger them. So right now is when you want to do the most damage. See, it hits for 57. It actually gave her an extra power point. And now she's healed. So it refreshed everything for her. That was her heal. That's why her skill's back. And now you can see one of the power points is filled in. This percentage is her health, by the way. Sorry, that's the power as well. I have to play this again. Programs are multi-use, almost like... No, they're also single-use. I should have played this again. I haven't played it in quite a while. Yeah, 25% heal recharge. So now you can see these two abilities have been used. They are grayed out.
Right, so now they're all crossed out.
Yeah. Ooh. So now she's switched to the programs, and she can do this one once. So the programs are a one-time use, and then the skills will refresh themselves, but the program can only be done once per fight.
Interesting. This seems to have a very dead.
Yeah.
Very complicated battle system.
Yes. It was very in-depth. And they've lost. Yeah, there's a lot to it. It's almost like a little puzzle game every single round, as well as a bit of a chess match, because you're looking at your dots. Like I said, as those dots fill up, you'll do more and more and more damage. So you're saying, okay, this is my highest damage ability. I've got 2 rounds before I'm at my max damage state, so I can get 2 buffs up before that round comes, so that I can hit with my hard ability with my buffs up on my high damage state, and then you can do your defending, your healing and whatnot on the low damage states as you build back up to it. Make sure you have a good damage ability ready, so you might have to do a guard the turn before your full damage state in order to prepare and have that ability ready. It was a very, very interesting combat system. My only complaint about the game is it's too short. Items are the same as programs, by the way. Once you get it, you can use it once per fight. There's no such thing as loot running out of it, so you're encouraged to be able to use it every combat, and the combat is made difficult so that you need to use these things every combat. I guess you can turn it on easy, and it might be easy. But yeah, I actually had to use my items in the game, but I was okay with it, because you just pick it up and then it's almost like a program. And the programs are interchangeable for each person, and the items are the same on all people in the party.
Let's resume the video. I want to see some more of this combat, and I want to see how it works.
I jumped forward a little bit more, but we'll find some other combat as they're going. They'll have more people. And I also want to show some of the interfaces. You can see the actual sprite style of exploration and running around has a very Chrono Trigger feel to the aspect ratios of the sprites, the detail level on them.
Yeah, definitely.
The actual faces popping up is a little more modern day power, and it looks a little more indie than the sprite itself. just by itself, but still a good effect.
What platforms did this release on?
I think all of them. I think you can get it on just about anything you own. I know it's on Switch, it's on PC. Pretty sure it's on the PlayStation Store. Pretty sure, and it might be on the Xbox. It's worth looking into. PS4, Switch, Vita, Windows, Linux, Macintosh. Everything but the Xbox.
The folks at Xbox must have peeved the developers.
Unless it's just listed as Microsoft Windows for the Xbox.
Maybe.
I don't think so, though. So if you have an Xbox and only an Xbox, that's unfortunate. Otherwise, you should definitely check this game out. It is cheap. It's not super long. Maybe 12 hours is what you can expect out of it. But a very enjoyable day. You want to see some more combat, huh? Here you go.
I really like that turn order interface over on the right.
Yeah.
I think that is really well done.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
You like that too?
Yeah, it's very intuitive. It's very clear.
It's taken from one of my old school favorite JRPGs, which slightly different, but basically the exact same idea, which was Grandia.
Never played the Grandia games. Heard good things.
They were a fantastic series of games. Very unique in their era. Here's a quick shot of the Grandia one. At the very bottom, you've got the weight. This is all moving forwards towards this way, and then the enemies and players are overlaid with a little pointer showing where they are on the grid as they move towards the act. You loved Grandia 2? Grandia 2 was a good one. I liked Grandia 1 more than Grandia 2, I think. Played Grandia 1 a lot. But yeah, 1 and 2 very good. 3, not so good. Very sad. Disappointed in 3. There were some other side games in the series that were pretty bad as well. You see, now that we have 3 people there, they're plowing along a little better. They're moving through these abilities quickly, but you can see that you've actually got a list on the bottom right. Increases style, can reuse. Style is this percentage, if I remember right. Yes, it is. So this person is a gunmancer. One of my favorite classes I've ever heard of in any game. A gunmancer. She uses magic to summon guns that shoot people.
That is pretty incredible.
Yeah, she casts Gunmancy. See, the pistol, basic ability, Gunmancy, damage 1, reuse. Oh, that was too quick. You were too quick. See, she summoned a bigger cannon there, and the cannon shot them. And then she has a buff. You saw where she summoned that cannon and shot everything in the other fight? That's a buff. The turn before she casts it and the next Gunmancy she uses targets everything. So you do that right before you're at your peak power level, and then you split list the Gunmancy on your peak power level, and then you cast your highest Gunmancy. Wreck everything.
Also found a new Dave weapon.
Right on. Dave's the hacker. He's a decker. Uses a cyber pad to hack robots and stuff while you're fighting. There's a little bit of Shadowrun to it. The very first way I explained the game when I had just started playing it was like Shadowrun Chrono Trigger. But then I started exploring new planets, and there was definitely talking to alien races, and just a fantastic little game. There we go. Here's a boss. Let's watch the boss. Pseudo, have I ever praised this game to you yet?
I don't think so, actually. But watching it, it looks like fantastic. I'm gonna definitely check this out.
You can see his weaknesses right off. I think that's an ability. It's vulnerability. There's the items. Now her next item will be buffed. And he just did 49 damage and she has 30 health left. That's my kind of JRPG.
Better get that heal up.
They don't die right away. You've got till their next turn to get them back up to out of negative health.
Oh, interesting. I like that system.
I definitely abused it. Oh. That was too much damage.
No.
Too soon.
Overflowed. Straight to dead.
He just did more than all his health in one shot. Oh, that was a big heal. And now he does a power up for himself, and she's out of abilities. All she can do is defend to restore her skills. Damage up. You see, she does the damage up when she has 2 of 3 dots here. Now she's at 3 of 3 dots with the damage up and hits it for 592 and kills it.
97 damage.
But she hit it for almost 600. And it killed it. They won. This is not a defensive JRPG. You want to get a couple of shields up, but I found my secret to success most of the game was just do more damage than they do. Make my numbers bigger and I'll win. It worked. It worked very well. So another strong recommendation. Let me even see if it's on sale. Nope, it is not. But it is it is on sale. There we go. It's 60% off. It is $6.79 Canadian right now. And that is 100% worth it. 100% worth it. There is a lot more than $7 worth of game within that game. Are there any other indie titles you two would like to talk about now?
I'd like to talk about Death Road to Canada. It's another one of my favorite indie titles.
Sure. I have not seen a lot of it actually, even though I've heard
really?
a lot of it. Yeah.
Man, fantastic. We should. It's a very streamable game. But I think I know it's 4-player local co-op. I don't know if there's online co-op, but using the new Steam thing as well, where it does on our local co-op through online, we should definitely stream some runs together sometime. It'd be a really good time.
Yeah, I'm totally down.
I'd be down to watch that for sure.
So here's your game. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it's also on Switch now too, which is nice. But it's basically retro style roguelike. The point of the game is that there's a zombie apocalypse has happened. Shit has hit the fan, and your plan is to get to Canada because you heard like it's not so bad up in Canada. So you can have a party, I think up to 4 people, maybe more depending on like animals such as dogs and stuff like that. But everyone is unique in their abilities. There's kind of classes that are in the system. There's like fighter, brawler, gungeoneer, medic, driver, all that fun stuff.
I love the gungeoneer.
Yeah. And it's just it's a silly, lovely written. It's a fantastic little gem of a game. I think I've only beaten it. Like I've only gotten to the end once, and the ending is fantastic. I'm not spoiling it for anyone. I highly recommend no one spoil the ending for themselves. Just try to get there. It is very hard. As I said, I've played this game a bunch, but I've only actually gotten to the end the one time. But when you finally get to that last little bit, it is fantastic. You basically start off just on foot, or you might start with a car, but very fast, your car will either break down or run out of gas, and it gets stressful. It gets hard. It gets stressful. And resource management is brutal. You're like, I want more people in my party, but then they eat more food, and depending on their traits, you might have someone who's wasting your food or will get you in trouble, or all that kind of fun stuff. The bandit playthrough, I think it is. There's one playthrough, one trait that's hilarious, and you can just basically bully people to take their stuff, or you just cause a ruckus. It's hilarious. There's one person It's like a diplomatic trait, but basically you just tell everyone to cool it. And like if you tell bandits and stuff to cool it, they just lose it and just fight you. And you just tell everyone, and it's hilarious. Like it's like one of your only dialogue options. It's just like you tell them to cool it, and it's just hilariously presented. Yeah, Graham calls Lewis a dink.
Yeah.
But yeah, like sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But it is fantastic. It is a very, very well done game.
It looks like it's got some really nice RPG elements to it.
Yeah, it does, but it's also a roguelike, so
Yep.
short-lived, but you get points for your runs that you can use on upgrades. You can upgrade the various classes that you have, so they start with a little bit better stats, so they'll start with weapons and stuff like that and kind of give you better odds. But for the most part, the characters you start with usually don't last very long. Usually, you'll end up with completely different characters than you started with, just due to the difficulty of this.
On the RPG side, I was talking about the interactions you have with the NPCs and stuff, the different conversation elements.
Yeah, for sure. Especially when you have the different classes and how they interact with certain other classes and stuff like that.
That's even more interesting, yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's a highly recommended, very good, very, very fun game. Very fun in co-op, though it can get very stressful. Don't people will get salty at each other depending what happens. There's been times where I've accidentally drove off in the car while someone was not in the car yet, so I have left them off. And when you're playing 4-player co-op, if you don't have more than, if you only have 3 people in your party, only 3 people are playing, so they got very salty. On top of, you get bound to your character when you're halfway through a run. You get kind of attached to them because it's you, right? It's your character. You've gotten their gear, you're living off, and all of a sudden you fucking just drove off without them, and there you go. No more run for you.
Those people need to play more D&D. You can't get attached to a character.
Yeah, this game is very cheap, I believe. It is indie. I highly, highly recommend it. I'd love to play with you guys. I think we'd have a blast. Even though it does get very stressful, it is a solid experience. It does take a lot of strategic and planning, more than you think it would, but it is worth it for that ending. That ending is just the best. One of the best endings.
I'm totally down, and I've played top tier MMOs, and I've played through all the Souls games. I can say that now. I guess not really. I have to play Demon Souls. That's
it's definitely not as hard as a Souls game. Like right here, he shouldn't be hitting zombies. He should just be running. It's like decisions like that where like the most of the time you'll get killed is when you get cornered, and then you get tired, and it's mostly just trying to manage your resources as well as your weapons break. So you have to be really, really aware of that. But there are certain kind of like super weapons you can find that won't break, and
so it really is Souls strategy. Don't fight them, just run.
For the most part, yeah.
Gotta pick your fights.
The only difference is you can fight them in Souls. This just looks like a bad situation here. Though he does have the rebar, but them coming in the back's all sorts of bad. Yeah, get out of there.
Yeah, like this guy's he's wasting ammo and everything like that, and ammo is very rare, very rare. Most of the time I don't even have a gun. You'll have a gun maybe for like the last little bit, but you never ever want to use it until you're like swarmed. There's also random events that happen quite a bit that really kind of mess you up, as well as there's hordes. So there'll just be like a horde that happens. You're just stuck in a room probably that size with an endless amount of zombies coming out of the door for a certain period of time, and then eventually you can try to leave, but you got to fight your way out. And that's usually when you end up losing someone. You usually end up being like, all right, this guy is already low on health and he's not very strong, so he's just gonna stand in the corner and try to distract him while everyone else tries to get away. And it gets very, very intense.
That guy, huh?
Yeah, when I first played this game, I spent a lot of time like making a custom character, and then they just immediately die, and I'm like, I gotta stop doing this. You start with, like most of the time you make a character, you're like somewhat reasonable yourself, right? Like, oh, I want to put myself in the game, and then you just immediately get destroyed. You're like, oh, I'm dead. Oh no. But no, it is. I love it. It's definitely one of my favorite games.
Although I've seen people do the same thing in D&D. Put their heart and soul into making a character and then just die instantly. One of my favorites was my buddy who named himself something the Goblin Killer. I don't remember the something. That part wasn't memorable, but I remember he named himself the Goblin Killer. So I threw a goblin at him at the very beginning of the game, and the goblin killed him. He just rolled for crap, and I rolled a 20 and killed him with the goblin. He had to burn his sheet. I'm a mean GM. I make people burn their sheet when they die.
Savage.
Select past trait. So it's a pretty complex and in-depth character creation too.
Oh, there's a lot of traits. There's a lot of different kind of run-throughs and plays that you can do.
So there's like just a ton of replay value. It looks like.
Oh yeah, well yeah, like for most roguelikes, is what they have to have is replay value because it's basically the game loop is the replay.
Yep. The way it should be.
And like the humor in it, like Yalmart and stuff like that is just fantastic.
I love this character.
If you have someone with,
does he come with a Camaro?
I wish. See, like right now, like this person right now, I can tell is probably not going to make it too well because like they're hitting some zombies when they shouldn't be. You mostly just need to run past most of the stuff. And one thing you're always going to want to do is like use the environment as much as possible. Like you can pick up the shopping carts and everything like that to throw them to save the durability on your weapons and stuff. And all this little stuff really adds up over time.
Mm-hmm. Like he didn't need to kill that zombie there.
Not necessarily. Sometimes it's not a bad idea to kill someone to go on the way because you'll go into one of those rooms, right? But they keep coming at you. So then when you go to leave, next thing you know, you have like 10 or so blocking the door that you got to somehow like kite through or walk around. You definitely shouldn't be shooting.
But in that situation and this one, this is just wasting his ammo.
But I mean, you learn eventually. You know, you made noise, and now they're all coming from the outside inside, and
so it does track the noise factor too. When you fire your gun, it alerts all the zombies around, and they all come at you.
Yeah.
I dig it. I dig it. The Yule log on stream.tv is useless. Oh, useless. It has not warmed me up at all. I had to read the rest of it to get the context. Gotcha.
You really have like a benchmarking version, like a 4K one you can render, so you can use your graphics card to warm up your.
Yeah, I was going to say you probably just need to run an older processor and you'll create lots of heat. We could actually sell that. There's a use for old computers. Attach a monitor to them, pump the fan through the big heat sink right out, and then just render a really complicated fire, and it'll create fire and heat. Solved the problem with what to do with all these old computers.
I must say this game looks like it's not for me. I am generally not a roguelike kind of person, but it would be very entertaining to watch a run or two through this. I think that would be fantastic.
It's a pretty good time. I'm usually not for roguelikes either, because I usually get like attached and stuff. But this game is fairly short, at least, so your runs are also pretty short and it's easily digestible.
Yep.
But
it looks very similar in I'm not sure how to say it. Length, I guess. Anyway, might be longer, but the only other roguelike I've really liked, and we can definitely talk about it after this one, because that's also a fantastic indie game, even though it's kind of old. Hopefully a lot of people honk. Oh, right, you can honk and alert all the zombies to come that way.
It's very useful when someone's getting trapped in a corner.
Yeah, no doubt. That's a good idea.
Or to tell your teammates to get in the car before you just ditch them.
But the only other roguelike I've played any amount and thoroughly enjoyed is FTL.
Oh, FTL is fantastic.
Yeah, you liked FTL?
Yeah, I love FTL.
You played it, or you just watched it?
Both. I've played, a couple of run-throughs, enjoyed it, but what I enjoy more is watching others play.
Does anybody else know FTL?
I've played quite a bit of it. I've enjoyed it very, very much. But I've also been very, very frustrated because for the longest time I'd get to near the very end, and then that last kind of gauntlet of onslaught it would get me.
That last ship is no joke, man. That's not an easy game.
No, there's times where I'd get near the end, and I'm like, I definitely do not have enough of this run, and I'm just gonna get dumpstered by this thing, and it was still a good time at least.
Yep, I've never actually beaten it, even on easy. I've gotten to the final ship, but I've never actually beaten it. Somebody told me the secret to it.
I find that you get as much of the drones as you can.
The trick is to kill all of the crew but one. Gotta leave one alive. If you kill all the crew, the automated systems kick in and the whole ship goes into real-time function. If you leave one crew alive, that function doesn't kick in and he can only run one system at a time. Then just focus on the ship. Take out the hull. That's the secret that I was told. I haven't gone back to try this strategy yet, but it sounds like a plan.
Was it this developer that made the Into the Breach?
It was.
Yes.
It was.
Yes, they did.
I just got a copy of that. And I am stoked to play it. I love a little turn-based strategy game.
Plus, Ben Prunty's music is wonderful.
See, so now it's trying to escape, but with the cockpit damaged, they won't be able to. They'll have to fix it. You can see they're fixing their weapons right now. And we're through. Now they're offering fuel. And if you need what they're offering, then it's worth it. But if you're just wanting money, destroy them.
Yeah, I haven't played this game in a long time. Now I really want to.
Yeah, it's one of those games where you just watch a little bit of it and you're like, this looks really good. I want to play this again. Into the Breach is just as hard. That's good. It has to be hard to be replayable, right? Because it's such a short little game. If you could just like sit down and play it and beat it, then you wouldn't really want to play it that much anymore, would you? Too easy. Now, if you beat it maybe 1 out of 20 times, 1 out of 30 times when you play it, that's great. Then you're surprised and happy whenever you're able to get a good run and beat it. It's sort of the roguelike, almost a necessity of designing a game that way. If you beat it on too many playthroughs, then, or if you beat it on every playthrough, then it just becomes not worth playing. Oh snap, fix the oxygen!
I still remember the first time that my ship got boarded. I did not expect it to happen. I started freaking out.
Yeah.
The people show up in my hull. I'm like, what?
Yeah, usually
this wasn't in this situation.
Usually if you're in the state of it's gone wrong and you're about to die. It's usually not super recoverable after that. Yeah, so it sounds like most of the people in the chat have played it, and that's great. Awesome. Super, super, super cool game. If you're watching this and you have not played FTL, it is a must play. It is one of those indie gems. It will never be forgotten. Escape the AAA manufacturers and throw some money at the indie scene.
And on that note, there's one more game that I would like to talk about since we've got just a little bit of time left. And that game is Fury, F-U-R-I. It's a indie game that was done by, oh heck, who was it? Just show me the developer. The Game Bakers.
We do our research in real time.
Yeah. But it's done by the Game Bakers, and it is a boss rush game that is focused around incredibly tight bullet hell-ish combat that also has a melee phase. There's not really anything else to the game. There's not really stages, nothing like that. It's just boss fights. And the boss fights are very tough. They're very fun. They require a great deal of mechanical skill. And as you can tell by watching this cutscene, it has quite the visual aesthetic.
It is a very cool looking game. Very cool. I like the style. I like the use of the extreme colors.
And the music in the game, I don't know if you've got it enabled. I've got the stream muted, but the music in the game is almost all synthwave. And one of my favorite synthwave artists, Carpenter Brut, is actually on the soundtrack. He did one of the tracks for them. One or two. I think maybe two. But really, really good music.
Yo, what's up with the rabbit?
I love synthwave. I love his art style.
Tail with my armor.
This looks fantastic, and I've seen a bit of gameplay before, and it's really cool. I didn't see much of the boss rush genre too much, and it looks very addictive and very rewarding.
Yeah, and they're difficult fights. When you finally get over that hump, much like in Souls, you then feel like a god, and then you get your face handed to you by the next boss.
Oops, I made a mistake. Yeah, it's almost like a highly detailed cell shading.
Almost?
Just very high in like pastel
Yeah.
colors, and like this nice soft render.
Very
Definitely
unique.
the lighting is very, very well done.
Also, lightning katana, because of course. So now we're in the first boss. We're getting our little tutorial on how to actually play the game, and you can see the first boss here has quite a few bullets that he's going to shoot at you. He's got some abilities that will fire different kinds of projectiles at you. The green ones, when you shoot them, will drop health, and then once you've dealt enough damage to him, reducing his blue bar to a red bar, you get thrown into melee combat with the boss.
With a
And
parry system too.
Yes, there is a perfect parry system. And this is all like highly reflex driven, very difficult, very tightly timed combat. And there's various methods for, like, how do you want to deal with an attack? Do you want to shoot this projectile? Do you want to try and parry it? Do you want to try to just avoid it altogether? And you see here, we've knocked down one of the first boss's health bars at this point, and now we are on the red stage of the second health bar. And each of those pips underneath the health bar up in the top right is another health bar. These bosses are long fights.
So you're going to maybe die in the very first phase on some of them before you even get the first pip off, but once you've learned that, you'll be able to get a few pips off and you'll start cleaning things up as you get rid of your mistakes. Sounds very similar to a Souls boss progression.
And now you see there's those wave projectiles, which you can dash through.
Mm-hmm.
But he's also firing, bullet hell style big waves of projectiles as well.
Yeah, and this guy's trying to be offensive instead of defensive.
Just bouncing the projectiles back at the boss.
Almost looks kind of MMO-ish as well at times with the
yeah, the way they do the tells on the attacks.
The telegraphs, yeah.
And it looks like you're given a whole bunch of time to deal with all these things. Trust me, when you're playing the game, it doesn't feel like you're given a ton of time.
No.
Plus, this is still the first boss.
Yeah, this is the tutorial of the game, essentially.
Let's dodge that and then just unload on him.
Yeah, I didn't want some guy talking. I don't have the game, otherwise I'd boot it up and show it to you that way.
This is another game that I obviously would recommend, seeing as it's one of the indie darlings that I wanted to talk about.
Yep.
But it's for the kind of person who wants a big challenge to overcome. If you want something that you can just work at and work at and work at, and eventually you're so good at the core systems of the game that you're able to just power through these bosses, that is the kind of game player that this is targeted at. That's who this is for.
It's for the Souls enthusiasts. The Souls people that like the boss fights. The Souls people that want to solo everything. If the first thing you look for in a Souls game is a summon circle, maybe not the game. It does look
And you
very
can see
cool.
here a little detail in the parry system.
Mhm.
As he's doing the perfect parries, he actually gets a little bit of health back. So you get rewarded for your parries.
I see that. He just got a corner of health and then missed and lost a whole bar.
Yep. This game is hard.
Yep.
It's not an easy game.
Is there any customization to your character as you go?
No.
None at all?
There's no customization. There's no character building. There's not really even any progression at all. It's just you're getting out of the jail. That is your goal. You are a set character, and you have your sword and your gun, and you gotta fight all of the bosses to get out. And it's just a straight up challenge.
So you don't even get stronger, it's just the bosses get a little bit harder, but they're all tuned for one setting.
Exactly. The bosses all get more difficult. They throw more projectiles at you. They have different moves. Like this is the jailer, as we've said a couple of times. He is the tutorial boss.
Yep.
Even the next boss of the game, which I believe is
The Bound.
I don't remember now. Oh yeah, the Bound. It's a very weird fight. Like if click into that video, I don't know that I'll be able to describe it well enough, but they move very strangely. There are obstacles in the boss arena, and they have an ability that is super strong and can blow those obstacles away.
I see. They're all tied up. They've got a thing strapped onto their head.
Big old laser.
Yeah, they've got a wheel to move around with.
They're very much faster than you are.
That level design is pretty cool too.
It is. I like their use of obstacles, and the obstacles can get destroyed by the boss, so you can't just hide behind them.
Is this game on Switch? Looks like a really good game for the
I think
Switch.
it is.
I believe so. I think it has a Switch release.
I'll
And
definitely-
you can see here the projectiles are much less straightforward as well. Like that initial barrage splits into other smaller projectiles that home in on you. Like the game's not nice. It is mean to you.
And he just keeps trying to... Is he trying to parry them, or...?
I think so. I think he's trying to time the parry to shoot them back at the boss, but not working out.
No. He just keeps taking damage. Gotta get your timings down. There you go. Very strange boss.
And this is the second one. This is the next boss you get introduced to after the jailer, which is basically just a dude with a stick.
Yeah. even we are coming out of this saying, I have to buy this game.
Yeah, this one I think is probably the least recommended. Yeah, it's very tough. It's not complex. It is beautiful in its own way, but it's not like super high graphical fidelity. Um, but the design and the combat is just so well tuned and so satisfying that it's a game that I would recommend to most people who enjoy a good boss fight.
Does look like a good game. I'm into it here. And there is, I thought we could close it up with a couple early access games as well. Things to look forward to. And in one case, the first one that I want to talk about, a game that I could even say go ahead and buy it. They still consider themselves early access, even though the content that they're now doing is better looking particle effects on the explosions, heightened color palettes for the environment. That's pretty finished in the realm of games. That's way beyond what most games are when they're released, even. Looking at you, AAAs. I'll just release it, we'll patch it later. And that is, I'm not sure who might have played it, but Factorio. Are you familiar with how much, or have you played any of it? I know you're familiar with it, but have you played any of it, Pseudo?
No, it's still on that list of I'm scared to try it.
Yep.
Because I know that's all I'm going to do for a while.
Yep.
But when I was at BCIT, I remember there's a lot of people who were playing it in class. And I'm like, what the hell is this? I'm like, oh, it's Factorio. And I'm like, shouldn't you be studying? They're like, shut up. But yeah, ever since then, I was like, ooh. But yeah, it's definitely been on my radar. It looks really cool. I like the style of it.
Yeah,
it just seems like one of those games where like the more you put in, the more rewarding it gets. And I really like that in a video game because after you spend most of your time playing video games, you don't feel as guilty. You're like, hey, but at least I got this cool thing to look at now.
Totally. Factorio is one of those games where I introduced it to a friend. Told him, he doesn't play a lot of games, but I told him, no, you got to check this out. It's up your alley. You're gonna love it. That was on like a Friday. See him on Monday at work. You asshole. What? I sat down after work to check the game out, and the next thing I knew, it was 7 a.m. and my wife was yelling at me.
That sounds consistent with most people that I know who have played Factorio.
That pretty much sums up the game. You want to kill some time? This will annihilate all of the times. There will be no times left for you to have. But as a living organism, Factorio consumes time and gives off pure enjoyment. So it's not going anywhere, and it will always be fun. He's looking at a rendering of the map for the starting. So these gray splotches are big spots of iron. This is copper. If you see little purple dots somewhere, or they might just be black dots in this view, that would be oil. I'm not seeing any oil on this. And there will also be big green ones. Oh, the black here is coal. This is coal. Those are your three basic, and this is stone. But then you've also got uranium, so that you can get your nuclear reactors running and stuff like that, start that whole refinement process. And you've got crude oil. The crude oil gets pumped out by a crude pump, goes into a crude refinery. The crude refinery can optionally take in water with the crude, depending on what sort of crude refining you're doing, and will give off varying levels of heavy, light, and heavy oil, light oil, and I can't remember the third one. It's a complex process. That's actually, this is still all just looking at the levels layout. Okay, so this is how the game starts. You are an advanced alien entity that has crash landed on the planet, and you need to get off the planet. So the first thing he does is he mines some stone. Alright, we're going to go around and gather stone. This one should be some stone and coal. There we go, we've got some coal. Now he's starting to craft some basic things. Learning the interface. It is a little clunky at the beginning. It's much better now. So now we've got a basic mine that runs on coal, some coal, and a box. So we can run up to the copper and or iron, plop down our, and this is how we start. See, now this mine is running on coal and harvesting the iron that it's under and automatically putting it into the furnace. It just plops it right into the furnace, and he manually puts the coal in both of them, and it's making him some iron plates. All right. Now we've got a whole bunch of mines making a whole bunch of iron plate and a little bit of copper plate. Now it's all getting automated. Oh, he needs more coal. So he's running down here and just picking up all the coal from the machines.
Well, I think he got some more coal.
Yep, those are automated. Now he's got to put the coal in the machines. It's a very nice, quick process. Just control click. There, you just run along there. They're all full. Lovely UI. And now he picked up all the metal plate. Now he's got all those iron plate, and now he's actually building steam engines. He's going for power now. And now we've got some power being built. A whole lot of power being built.
Quite a bit of power being built.
And there's actually ratios for the water going in, and you've got to feed coal into these, so we'll probably get to automating them eventually. And everything's about scale in the game. See, now he's built this research lab, and the research lab is starting to research new technologies. But you've got to build little red research packs and put them in. Jump forward. This is an hour into the game now. Just about. Oh, he's building some turrets, defenses. If this looks even remotely interesting to you, Raven, I 100% recommend this game. I have put more time than I can admit into this game. I have some sub 10% achievements on Steam in this game. Oh, that one's done. So let's look at this is the actual intro to it. So yeah, there are trains. The trains have their own collision systems. You actually have to create stoplights, create stations, program when to go, when to stop. You can create, and you can actually go to the depth of creating computers. So, as an example, you know what? This game is so good. Let's show you some of it. I don't have anything really built crazy.
Just fire up Factorio.
Yep. I absolutely love this game. Come on, crop those bitmaps. Loading sprites.
Hey, there's an update.
Here's a larger one that I had built. This one is actually train driven. For all the, so here's a lot of my refinery. So here's the actual train that's bringing it all. This one's bringing in refined solid fuel from the chemical refinery, and that's being passed to everything that needs fuel. I do still have a need for coal because coal is needed to build grenades and stuff like that. So here's my inventory. Here's this logistics. So you see I have 108 of these belts. So if I were to just grab these belts and let's place a bunch. There, I've now got less than 100. So I've also built a logistics network in my game. And my logistics network is now going to read that I have less than 100 of these. And we're going to be able to see a bunch of robots coming in. Where have I gone? Here we go. Here's the robots. There we go. And they just brought me my resources that I automatically request because I no longer have as many as I always want to have. So you actually have to build your own network and set all your limits on items and what to automatically trash and how it should handle where it goes what. So this train, what's my stop set at? So the current condition, it's at the chemical drop-off, and if either of my chemical fluids hit 0, the train's programmed to continue its run. So that my construction never stops. These are being pumped into big reserve tanks so that when it hits 0, the train has time to do its run before the reserve tanks run out, so there's no interruption to the process chain. So let's just pull up the train and say, okay, no more stop. Let's go to the chemical refinery and let's check out what happens there. We can follow it on the map. You can't see it on the map properly. We'll watch regular view. If I have a satellite built on the entire track, then you can actually just go to it. So this comes to the chemical refinery plant where it's been running, and now it starts loading up this car, and these are pumping full of fluid. You can see on the right side, petroleum gas is filling up. The lubricant was already full, so it was the petroleum it needed. Here's the process for my chemical refinery plant. You can see my little defenses around each step. So we've got the actual pumps pulling the raw crude out up here. And here's an expansion. You know, these are all additional crude spots I can build pumps on. This crude comes down to my refinery row. Hit Alt so I can see what's going in. So we can see that it is crude going into both inputs right now. And then coming out is... Oh, right, the game's been changed since this save. So right now it's just petroleum that's being made. I'm not getting heavy and light oils. I would have to change my process now that the game is updated, so we'd have to stop this. And now we can go to the advanced processing so that you actually get heavy oil and light oil with the petroleum gas, more petroleum gas. So now you have to deal with the oils, because if they ever back up, you can't process anymore, but it does get you a higher rate of petroleum gas for the same amount of oil. So how that works out for me, we would go to these tanks, and then this is taking light oil and water to turn it into usable petroleum. So that deals with my light oil. And this is taking heavy oil to turn it into the lubricant that I need. And that's for building some top tier stuff. You need lubricant for the higher end gears for moving logistics around quicker. And then on this scale, the heavy oil and the water are mixing to form light oil, where the light oil is then feeding in these guys to create the solid fuel. So my light oil reserves that aren't used to create heavy oil in order to create my heavy oil full and pumping out lubricant is being turned into additional fueling. That's what my base runs on now, is the light fuel. This is Factorio. It all started with me holding right click to mine some coal. That was the whole start of this game. Here's my uranium extraction. This actually has to bring sulfuric acid back. So the sulfuric acid is made at the base and put onto this train, and the train brings it down and keeps these tanks full because sulfuric acid is needed to process the uranium ore. And
this game has such incredible automation and complex systems in it. I'm blown away every time I see it.
And here's my simple nuclear reactor. The nuclear reactor goes from heat pipes into a heat exchanger. It supercharges the heat exchanger, which then puts out a lot of steam in order to power 2 steam turbines. This one reactor is powering the whole base, but there is actually a mathematical equation. This is the optimal setting for one reactor, but you can have 8 reactors or 8 turbines per reactor for each reactor. So it goes from 4 to 16 when you put a second one on. So you've got these complex heat pipes going everywhere for the next tier of reactor. These are my vehicles. I built this tank. I actually build the ammo to load it and arm it. Here's my research facility. So all of this here, everything you see, is just building what's needed in order to do this research. Because this purple one, for example, which is built here, needs engines, and that's a lubricated electric engine and an electric furnace. So if we follow this back, here's where my furnaces are being made. They're being made out of steel and stone brick. The stone brick has to come from up over here, where the stone is turned into bricks by the ovens. The steel comes from over... Nope, that's going to there. Steel would be here. These refineries grabbing metal plate and turning it into steel, being fueled off of the solid fuel. This is Factorio. I recommend Factorio to you if you don't like having time in your day.
If you want all of your time to be taken up by optimizing processes, this is the game for you.
Yeah, I can spend days playing it. I've played 147 hours, and I've played 2 games of it. But there is an achievement for completing the rocket in 8 hours.
I feel like that's one of those ones that you really got to know what you're doing.
Yeah, you have to have your blueprints already ready. Because you can create blueprints in the game. That's like the next tier of building. Like first you start putting stuff down yourself. But then once you get your logistics network built with the robots in order to build things for you, then you can take a blueprint and paste the whole area as a blueprint, and the robots will just grab everything and put it there.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole game changes as you build your automation to manage it. Like, you have to run from place to place in order to issue build commands until you've got this whole network built where you can just zoom the map in so that you can actually see everything in real time with your satellite, place your blueprints through the satellite view, and then the robots just go and build everything, and it's all functional. And you never had to leave your... Still scared to play it, Pseudo? He's so scared of playing it, he's gone. Either that or he started playing it and we'll never see him again. One of the two.
I'd say that the latter is pretty likely. It looks very good.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. Raven, if you do start playing it, I would love to see a screenshot of your base once you get it built up. There are people with far more efficient bases than what I showed you. That was like my first base and it was just spaghetti. Once you've played it a few times, you start getting like a main feed of metal running through the middle of the base, like 3 channels thick. And this is just distributed everywhere throughout your base. Anyway, that's pretty much the evening, unless anybody else oh, I did want to show one more quick thing. I got too lost in Factorio. The shout out to a pre-release game. Not necessarily saying run out and spend money on it. Not always the greatest idea, but I do want to show you what they're working on so that you're aware of it. And that is Edge of Eternity.
That name rings a bell.
It's the one I keep ranting and raving about.
I don't remember anything about it.
With the soundtrack by Nobuo.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And this is another JRPG style game, turn-based. Small indie party. I think it's 9 people making this. And I am flabbergasted by what they've done.
This war has taken almost everything from me.
Man,
I've
that's pretty.
decided to
Yeah.
fight for another cause. One that is meaningful to me.
If we don't do something now, Harrion is
That
lost.
Nobuo soundtrack. Yeah, 9.
Take this!
I will commend your soul to the gods.
Can't find a way? I'll make one!
By the will of the gods!
Okay, I'm sold. Let me know when this is out.
This is the
I'm
story.
buying it.
Of what we have sacrificed.
That looks fantastic.
Yeah. They're still working on continuing the story, but there is a very high level of polish to the game. So basically they got the whole engine fairly well done, well tuned, right dialed in. And then they got the first chapter out, and now they're building chapters. And I don't want to dive in too deep to the game, because I don't want to catch up to it and then be like, I need more! Oh, like, could you
Serious problem with early access titles.
could you imagine if you had played Final Fantasy VII when it was a beta and they only had up till when Eris dies and all you saw is the sword go through her and then it just stopped there and you couldn't play anymore? You'd be like, that would be terrible. No, I can't do that to myself. I gotta wait till the whole game's there. But I bought the game already because I saw what they were doing and I was like, keep doing this. Keep doing it. I'm buying. I bought now. Keep going. Don't stop, Indy team. But I didn't buy the game. I invested in the company and got a copy of the game if they ever finish it. That's the view you have to take if you're buying an early access game. You're not buying the game. You're investing in the company, the cost of the game, in hopes that they can finish it.
Oh man, it's Baby Yoda.
It is
Also-
Baby Yoda.
You guys can finally hear me? Turns out my mic cut out like 10 minutes ago for a while. So
Yeah.
Oh wow,
that's fun.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
wondering
I-
where
I-
you
I-
were.
I didn't
talking,
hear
and I'm
anything you
like-
said.
Y'all just ignoring me, but turns out there was nothing going through.
Turns out we're not just dicks. We're
There was
dicks
also
that
a
can't hear
technical
you.
malfunction.
Yeah, it's lovely. I didn't do anything. It just all like halfway through, I noticed it said USB device unrecognized. I'm like, okay,
Oh wow, that's a pretty big one. Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, nothing to read into there, right? Like, what do I have? I'm like, oh, it turns out my interface. I'm like, oh, well.
Did you want to
That's cool,
say
thanks.
anything about Factorio?
I was gonna say that I didn't know it was so in depth, so now I'm scared for different reasons. I'm scared of now I'm scared of just like, man, it's overwhelming almost. I'm like, holy shit. Like a lot of those games, I'm like, I'll sit there trying to like think of a plan longer than I do actually play the game. And then I go to do it, and then I realize my plan is completely wrong, and I'm like, dang. No, so that scares me, but it looks really cool. I did not know it was so in depth. There is so much going on there. You can definitely see why people spend months playing it and not doing homework and studying for exams.
Yep. I had a different one where multiple trains were running and some of them were sharing portions of track. And it took me so long to figure out the first time to figure out the 3-channel switch setup to prevent train collisions on the track.
Oh my god.
I was going through the tutorial multiple times and like rereading things and playing through the tutorial bit. And they have this like quiz at the end of the tutorial bit where like, these trains are going to crash. Place these 2 things and make the whole system work. And you figure it out and then you finally get it working and you're like, I still don't get why it works though.
That sounds like me and Kerbal Space Program.
Oh, I love Kerbal Space Program.
Yep. Kerbal Space Program's another one that we could have talked about on here very easily. If you're into physics and rockets and stuff like that, Kerbal Space Program is amazing. My favorite.
Even if you're not, even if you're just like screwing around with little green guys and trying to do anything. It's just silly. If you like Legos, then this game was also for you. Play around with, and you'll learn a little bit about.
Like,
It's got
I gotta
super
say,
real rocket
I have
ships.
gone on incredible missions to try and get Jeb back before.
My favorite one is Crucifix's finally first time landing on the moon ever. And then his guy goes to get back in the ship and realizes he's made the ladder too short and he can't reach the door to get back.
That's brutal.
So he tried a running jump to get to the door. And because of the reduced gravity and the realistic physics and the lightweight ship, all that happened was he bounced off the top of the ship near the door and knocked the ship over. So he has a screenshot with his Kerbal flag and a crashed, knocked over rocket in the background and a dead Kerbal floating by the other side.
Because I remember when I played, they couldn't die, which was kind of brutal because you'd lose them in space, and they're just kind of always there. Just feeling guilty about losing them out in the midst of space.
Apparently, they can die now.
They,
I kind of liked it better when they couldn't, because then you're like, oh my god, I left Jeb by Saturn. I need to go get him back.
When I first played the game, before I did research into it, my strat to getting onto the moon or the moon in the game was just to like kind of wait until the moon was just a bit before, and using like Kentucky windage, just try to shoot in front of it and then land on it. Just a fucking straight shot, which, you know, that's definitely not the way to do it. So most of the time I'm just sending Kerbals whizzing by, shooting for the moon. And eventually my friend's like, dude, you put them in orbit and you slowly expand your orbit till you match the moon's orbit, and then you can get on that way. And I'm like, oh, I'm like, this is why I'm not a rocket scientist. I would just be like, you know what? It's kind of coming up. Just send it. Full send. It's full send. If we miss, we'll send another one, right? Like, it's fine.
Have you triple checked your numbers? No, I've double checked. Just launch them.
It will probably make it. It'll be fine.
I can confirm that was my experience with a lot of Kerbal. I didn't do enough tutorial at the beginning, and it was like, I was great until I got to the breakaway phase, and then I had no center of gravity, and my ship would just go through the orbit.
The best thing is when you don't calculate the parachutes properly. I think that's how you like kill Kerbals, and you're just like, okay, well, I didn't make it out of the atmosphere. Well, I'm coming back down, and you pull your parachute too early or too late, and it just pops straight off, and you're like, oh.
Oh yeah, I've done that before too. It's not attached firmly enough, or it's not enough to manage the weight, and it just comes off like, and you just crater. Yeah, that's bad times for everyone. Anyway, that's Indie Game Review. There's a bunch of indie games that we strongly suggest you all go check out. Now that the stream is done, I'm going to go buy a bunch of them myself and spend the rest of the night playing them. Hope everyone had a great time. Raven, Low, I'm bored. Glad you could make it today, I'm bored. Hope you enjoyed our little fun one. We usually do a little more educational and really dive into what a game is, but today we're just talking about awesome games. So, fun! Thanks again for joining. This is Games by Design. I'm Deus.
I am Rage.
And I'm Suda.
Have a great evening. May all your shots be headshots.